Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to start making me breakfast every morning? I, 27 male, have been living with my girlfriend, 29 female, for several months now. For the most part, things are really good, and I plan to propose soon and hopefully have at least a couple of kids with her. Got big plans already there. However, we've run up against a conflict. She's an absolute morning person. I hate mornings. By the time I force myself out of bed in the morning and into the shower, she's already been up for at least 30 minutes, even though she has to be at work later than I do, and is at the stove making breakfast. She likes a huge breakfast in the morning. She likes them huge. She usually has eggs, either French toast or pancakes, hash browns or breakfast potatoes, and sausage or bacon. Sometimes on weekends it's ham or steak. Eating breakfast like a country girl right there, tell you what. She eats almost nothing for lunch and usually has a smallish dinner, but she loves a huge breakfast. Meanwhile, I only ever have cold cereal for breakfast, or maybe, if I'm feeling really ambitious, some instant oatmeal or orange juice. I only even start to come alive halfway through my second cup of coffee and definitely don't feel like cooking in the morning. However, my girlfriend obviously does. So recently, I asked her if she'd start making breakfast for me too. She asked if we were going to trade off, and I'd sometimes make breakfast for her too. I told her no, but reminded her that I do often make dinner for her. She said that since we trade off making dinner, we should trade off making breakfast too. I told her there's no way I'll ever be able to muster that kind of energy first thing in the morning, but that since she obviously can, that she should just make breakfast too. I said that it would take next to no extra effort on her part to throw in a couple more eggs, strips of bacon, an extra portion of hash browns, etc., since she's already doing it for herself anyway. But it started a fight, with her saying that it wasn't fair for me to expect her to think of me in the morning since I don't do the same for her. She seems to think that her making breakfast for me should figure into our division of labor, and that I should do something extra in return. But I think that since she makes a huge breakfast for herself every morning anyway, that throwing an extra portion of whatever she's making on for me would take next to no extra effort on her part. So why should I have to do more for her in return than I do already? This relationship seems to be functioning completely fine. No issues here. None. Okay, either OP's girlfriend here has been burned in the past by someone making her do everything and drew these boundaries that she has to enforce, or OP has burned his girlfriend enough times to where she has boundaries. But there's a reason that those boundaries exist. It's all petty shit. All of it. And for this to be your guys' biggest problem is kind of a blessing, because you're going to run into much bigger things down the road as your life evolves. And if you marry and have children, and then buy a house and maybe be crazy enough to start a business and then have a side hustle and whatever. Life's going to get more complicated, and this is going to hopefully be something that you look back on and laugh, because while you would love for her to think of you and make extra breakfast for you, it's certainly not an expectation that you can set. You don't really have a right to do that, especially if you're not willing to give anything for it. And I think that is where her boundary is. It's, if you want this thing, then be willing to do something for it. If you're not willing to do anything for it, then you must not really want it, which is true. If you want it, do something for it. How much does it mean to you? Breakfast obviously means a lot to her, and number one, you're going to disrupt her routine. Even though it is just extra helpings of whatever she's making, that means she has to shop ahead for more, she has to think ahead for more, she has to anticipate when you're going to wake up in time to actually eat that breakfast more. You're going to complicate a lot more than you think you're going to complicate. And what are you willing to do for that? The fact that this is a discussion, though, in the first place kind of blows my mind. You know, at this point, these two are clearly not functioning as a team. It's very much individual-focused people right now. And, you know, at their core, people are selfish. So there's some of that you're always going to carry with you. But at some point in a relationship that is progressing successfully, you start to think we instead of me. These two are very much still in me land, which may be just an indication of age or, you know, how fresh the relationship is. They've been living together for several months, and maybe this is just part of learning to live with someone too. I don't know if they've lived with someone before this. We can probably assume not. So this is them just learning how to live life. Number one, at least they're communicating about it, and they're trying to find a solution here. So that's a good sign. That's more than most do. So maybe this relationship is actually okay because they're talking about it, at least. So good luck to you. You're an asshole for not wanting to do anything in return. And that would put you at, Let me see here. I'm going to say this makes you kind of between a 2 and a 3, but I'm going to give you some bonus points for actually looking for a solution and give you 3. So you pulled yourself back to an ask on 3, which is you probably should have approached that differently because you're at least out here asking for answers and trying to navigate this. So that shows that you care enough to try, which is a big deal. So you get some bonus points for that one right there. You've got to be willing to do some work for it. And once you realize that and start communicating and navigating that direction, I think you guys will probably maybe be okay.